great community we live in. We ask that thou would be with us to make the best choices for our community and for generations to come. We give thanks to those who protect our city and our freedoms. Bless them and protect them from harm. We say this name.
Thank you. I just want to announce about some upcoming events we have. So every third Monday, we have a tomato jam that is here at the Civic Center, and that is at 7 o'clock, where local entertainers can come. They enjoy music with another, so that's the third Monday. On the third Tuesday of every month here at 7 o'clock, we have our volunteer committees that meet. This time they're going to specifically be talking about economic development. So if any of you are interested in coming to that. And then on the third Wednesday of every month, we have our emergency preparedness. And that is actually at 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And so we have those three that are coming up. Another thing I want to announce to you is on April the 12th from 8 to 1 o'clock, that's a Saturday, the city will be doing their cleanup day. And that's when we have the dumpsters here in the parking lot. There are some specifics as far as oil. I don't remember the exact list. I apologize. I'll have that next meeting. I can read that off to you. But there is on the Facebook page that's the Hooper City. It lists what things are not allowed. But it'll be here. The dumpsters are here, and it's free for all residents to come. We have our public works that will be here to help you. Sometimes people have a heavier thing. They will have like a tractor or a backhoe that will help you get those items into the dumpster. And so we wanted you to be aware of that. So the first thing then on our agenda for our consent items are the approval of the minutes dated February 20th. Has everyone had a chance to look through those?
I'll just go.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say just a correction of my last name spelling is all.
The only thing I can see is on the last part of it where it talks about the allegations were dropped against Amanda. It says charges. So I think that probably needs to, because she was never charged, I think that needs to be replaced by allegations.
And the only other thing I saw that I probably did say this wrong is that the emergency preparedness is the third Wednesday, not the second. And so I'm not sure if I said that wrong, we have it wrong, I'm not sure, but that was one correction that I noticed. Oh, and then remind me, I'll tell one thing. Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, with those corrections then, is there someone that would like to make the motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from March or February 20th, 2025 as corrected.
The motion was made by Councilmember Maragoni. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second is made by Councilmember Bowers. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. One thing I forgot to mention, I apologize, as far as upcoming events, the City Council will be doing a budget work meeting on March the 27th at 6 o'clock. And so all of you are welcome to come and listen to that budget meeting. Okay, so the next thing we have then is we have a public hearing, and this is on a request to open the general plan from the Lowe Company. So I need someone to make a motion that we will move into a public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we move into a public hearing.
I'll
Motion
second,
was made by Councilmember Wilcox. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second was made by Councilmember Maragoni. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now going to move into a public hearing then. So what we ask you is that you come up to where the podium is with the microphone. Please state your name. Your comments can be limited to 3 minutes. Our city recorder will have some signs that she will hold up at the time of your 3 minutes. If you're not finished, then we will ask you to please have a seat and we will move on to the next person. So we're in our public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to come up and make a comment?
you really want to, but. I'm Michelle Maroney, and I remember, my comment is more procedural. Looking back at this, I don't know that there was ever a public hearing on this, opening the general plan for this, for the planning commission. The state code specifies that the planning commission shall do a public hearing for that. So went to the planning commission, they made a recommendation, but there was no public hearing. So we're doing the public hearing now. I feel like there was a step missed in the procedure. And that I'm a reporter. But yeah, it's very specific that public hearing shall be done by the planning commission, not by the council. That's
Okay, thank you. I remember we discussed this after and it had already been on the agenda before it was noticed as a public hearing. And Brandon had given us direction that we do need to have one public hearing and he told us we could do it at this meeting. So that's, again, but thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Dylan Robinson. I am a Hooper resident. I think that's what you want to know. I disagree with opening the general plan currently. I don't think it's needed. This particular developer has shown little interest in what's best for Hooper and big interest in what's best for his pocketbook in previous meetings, as well as legally threatening council and other very nice things for him to do. So I would just not recommend opening the general plan currently.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comments in our public hearing section?
Blake Margoni, Hooper. What's the direction on this? Just gonna open the general plan willy-nilly, or is there, I see this, so is this to adjust the overlay to allow something like that? Is that what we're kind of opening it for? Because I mean, I see this. Yeah, this is zoning request, that's fine, but currently it's zoned R1 with an overlay of R1, no overlay of anything else. So is the open general plan just to allow R3 amendment or overlay to go onto the future land use map? This is where I'm confused, so I just want to.
Okay, thank you. So what this is tonight then, this is a public hearing, and then what the council will be discussing is if they're willing to open the general plan as far as doing an amendment to the land use. That doesn't mean that there will be any zoning done tonight. In order to do that, it goes back to planning commission.
You good?
Yes.
I know, it's the allergies. So,
Travis Bates, resident of Hooper. But we've been talking about this chunk of property for quite a while, and it seems like it keeps bouncing back and forth between council and planning commission. Look, I don't fault the landowners or the developers for wanting to maximize profits. I think you or I would do that as well if we owned property or owned any piece of property. I think that's absolutely their right. However, if we're going to talk about opening the general plan, and we are looking at that for other properties as well, I think we need to separate out what purpose does this serve Hooper. I think other developments we're looking at, there's potential gain there. I don't think adding this many residents to that side of town really benefits Hooper at all. Obviously, it does benefit people being able to move to Hooper, which is great, but it is a draw on infrastructure. I know that the infrastructure can handle it. However, we don't collect a property tax in our city. And this would drain resources such as law enforcement, fire, emergency towards that end of town, and put a lot of extra traffic on that road nearby to that new school. So I don't think this is wise. Personal feelings aside, I try and weigh everything out, but I am a little concerned. I don't like the way that I feel like the developers have tried to put Hooper over a barrel with this project. I don't like the threats. All that aside, I don't think it serves a good purpose for our city. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments?
My name is Tom Hancock. I live here as well. This pretty much started for me. I came here, I grew up here, just in Taylor, played in all the ditches, catching frogs, hunting the fields, pheasants, catching carp. The reason I approached Matt, my boss, was, I was like, hey, I can't find lots. It's few and far between. I want to be able to build a home, create memories like I did as a kid here with my own family. And I got friends in town that also moved to places. So that's how this all started. The rehab center, I just want to go on record, I always was against that. Not that I think it is needed. It is, but I don't feel this is the place for it. I do feel homes do benefit the area. Kids, family, all want to come back here. I came back here because my family's here. So I feel like it is kind of denying other people that same benefit. Luckily, I was able to find one. Was it ideal? Was it the one I wanted? Not necessarily. I wanted to be able to build my own house. I still can do it. But I just wanted to let everybody know, like, this all started because I wanted to be close to them. So that's where we're at today.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Ms. Robinson, I'm a resident of Hooper, and mine's kind of more of a question, and probably it's my lack of understanding on exactly what it means by opening up the general plan. On a request like this to open the general plan, is that opening the general plan like entirely, in that anybody with other properties in a situation like this could then, you know, the general plan's open, they can now put in a request for their section to be amended, or is this opening the general plan specific to this property? So I guess there's a concern that if this is more like a widespread open door for other people, or setting a precedence for other parcels of land to then request an opening. Because, you know, if you approve an opening of land and an amendment for one person's property, what's going to stop you from doing it for others? And so there's kind of that difficulty of if you let one and you know, consider you know, an opening of general plan to potentially eventual rezone for one property, there's the question of what's going to keep you from doing that for any others.
Agreed. Do you want to answer that?
I think the request is just open it for this project. It may have some precedential value, yes.
Yes, that's what I was going to say as well. It is parcel specific. Thank you. Okay, any other comments?
Dan Warwick. Do I need to give you my address?
No.
The question I have a lot about this is lot 73, 21 acres. Who's gonna take care of that? That's my question. Who's gonna take care of all that? Lot 73, which is in the very back end, who's gonna be maintaining that fitness center and all that other stuff? That's the question. Is the developer gonna be responsible for that for the rest of the time that is all there? Who's gonna cut the weeds, who's gonna mow the grass, you know, and maintain all the equipment they're gonna put there? That's the question I have. And I'm not really open to, you know, changing the plan that we went on and did this for, went through a whole, you know, all the citizens and went through all this to just go in and say, oh yeah, let's change this now. So that's my question. The biggest thing is who's going to take care of the 21 acres? Thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda Prince, I'm a resident. My question is regarding our city ordinance 10-5-4 zoning ordinance amendments. I only caught part of the meeting because I was late and I was trying to listen on YouTube. But from what I heard discussed, it sounded like you guys were supposed to make a decision on whether or not you're gonna open the general plan tonight. And then they're gonna come back with something that they want to do. And so in our ordinance, it says, if accepted, the city council will open, modify, and close the future land use map portion of the general plan in one meeting. So I'm confused how that would work. I just had a question on that. Thank you.
Can you read the section on that title one more time?
10-5-4.
But the title of the actual heading?
It is
I think that was the one that was passed last summer.
zoning ordinance amendments.
And I think the idea was we would do it all at one time for that piece of property, not for the work.
Mm,
So if you were going to consider doing it today, you'd have to decide whether you want to open the plan, then whether you want to amend the map, and then close it again, and then go back down to the planning commission, decide.
I would have to read it, but just my simple opinion, obviously we need to do a little research in that, in light of that, but I was under the impression this would simply be opening the plan in consideration of that concept. The zoning amendment would take place.
This would
With-
have nothing to do with zoning.
Well, wouldn't it have to change the zone because, I'm sorry. Because aren't they asking for, like it's currently zoned R1, my understanding they're wanting to put some lots into their lots smaller than that, so if the council decides they're going to open it, and it says in our ordinance that they have to open it, amend it, and close it in the same meeting, my concern is if you guys decide that you're gonna open it, you're agreeing to whatever is being presented, right? They're changing it and then closing it in the same meeting. I'm just not sure how that works, and I realize some things have changed, but that's currently how our ordinance reads in the one that you just barely approved in February.
I think what they do is open the plan, and then they would change the map. That wouldn't change the zoning, it would change the possibility to change the zoning. It wouldn't actually change the zoning. We just change the map and say the future plan map would allow that change in zoning. So that could all be done in one time. Now, what they also could do, and this may make more sense, is just say, you'll consider all of it, but you want to study it further, decide what you want to have. I don't know that you're ready, maybe you are, to actually change the map.
Are there any other comments?
I think they have a second alternative for half acre lots. When we look at that, I think half acre lots fit in the area. There's half acre lots all around there. And there is a lift station that is ready and able to accept houses in that area.
Are there any other comments? Okay, seeing no other comments, then I will entertain a motion to move us from our public hearing back to our regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion was made by Councilmember Hill. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second was made by Councilmember Flowers. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're now moving back into our regular meeting. Is there a presentation by the law group that would welcome you to come up?
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, thank you for having me here today. Really appreciate it. What kind of procedurally, how I understood this, when kind of working up for the application, we did talk to Malcolm about just applying for a zone change. And we were told that it was too premature for that. So they said, before you can even ask for a zone change, which would allow us to do something besides 1 acre lots in here, we would have to apply for just the permission to open up the general plan.
So we kind of look at this as just, if you guys entertain this motion to open up the general plan, then we could have a discussion, because I think right now, we've kind of brought some concepts, some ideas, but really the idea is just saying, can we have a discussion about what can go here, that some, either 1 acre, half acre, something different than what it's zoned with right now. So that's kind of my understanding of this. So we brought some ideas of what we thought could be uses in here that would be possibilities, but obviously that would be at a later date where we would kind of request the zone change to actually say, hey, we would like to either do half acre or 1/3 acre. The two different options we brought here today was, there could be one option that we would consider is just doing half acre minimum on the whole thing, but we wouldn't be able to do a park amenity. And I think this is the one where it's just a minimum of the half acre. The first one that we had on there, we had a park amenity that would be open to the general public. And it would actually be maintained by the HOA, so there'd be no cost to the city, and there'd be an over 20 acre park with a lot of different amenities, like pickleball, volleyball, disc golf, things like that, that the HOA would maintain, but it'd be 100% open to the public. So we thought that would be a nice amenity. But to do that, we had to go a little denser than half acre. That one would have a minimum of 1/3 acre lots. But it was really just to have a discussion, I mean, on what Hooper would be willing to entertain. And so that would probably be if you decided to open up the general plan, we could have a discussion on what were possibilities that besides the current zoning, which is 1 acre. I know Weaver County's allowing enhanced density on projects if you pay into a park fee, and they're using that because I think they've done studies and feel like that's a big benefit in the communities. So they've taken that approach, and so that's why we actually developed an amenity package. If you open to the general public, it would be no burden to Hooper City, but we need some density to make that happen. And so I guess the other thing I would say is 1 acre zoning is almost impossible today. I mean, we can probably sell 1 or 2 or 3 1 acre lots per year, but really to get affordable housing, and not even really affordable housing, with the cost of, all the inputs to put lots in, 1 acre just doesn't work as a developer. And so it doesn't pencil, and it doesn't pencil for any of the end users, or very many of the end users. Yeah, there's occasional people that they can afford to have a 1 acre lot, but it's not really the people we're seeing. And so to get a viable subdivision, we don't think the 1 acre works. We think the half acre is very reasonable. We even think 1/3 acre, we still think that's very low density. And so if this is untenable for Hooper, I mean, I would think likely on the remainder of the parcels that we don't have, it's probably likely going to sit, and at a future date, something else is going to come in here, and there's going to be another plan, so that you can look at it at a different date. But 1 acre, I don't see 1 acre working, honestly, on any large scale. It doesn't work for the end user. It doesn't work for the demographics. The other big hot topic is affordable housing. The only way you get affordable housing is density. And so if that's something that Hooper is saying, well, we'll deal with that later, we don't really need to do that, then that's great. But to get affordable housing and to make it attainable for people that are anywhere near the median income in Utah, you have to get some density there. And so that's what we're trying to get a product type that would be attainable. And we put the park in because we thought it'd be a nice amenity, and no cost to Hooper. So that's kind of where we're at. And really just saying, are you guys interested in having a conversation about possibilities? Because I think we open up the general plan, at the end of the day, we can apply for a zone change, and you could come back to us and be like, no, we still want to keep it the 1 acre. So I really look at it, if we open up the general plan, it's going to be a conversation. But, and if you don't want to open it up, it's like, no, we don't want to have that conversation, and that's okay. And I get that. And so this will give me some really good clarity on which direction we want to go. If it's okay to have a conversation, or no, it's not appropriate to have a conversation.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have questions?
Yeah. Okay, Matt, I gotta ask you. So during an alcohol facility, did you ever really want to do that, or is that off the table? So what's the take on that?
We went over this in planning commission, and there was a lot of conditions, and the conditions, honestly, I felt like they're being set up to fail. I got the meeting minutes from some of the meeting minutes with the previous city attorney, and it was like, hey, if they do this and this, we can shut them down. And so the approval's still on the table. I reached out and met with residents, and they said, hey, is there alternatives to do besides this? And I said, well, I first applied for a subdivision. I'm willing to look into that. This is an alternative. Right now, my plan, you know, based on how I feel like it's the amount of resistance I have, like, you know, and with the conditions, I feel like the drug and alcohol is being set up to fail. And so that's why I completely pivoted. I'm not very excited to spend the millions of dollars it's gonna take to put that in if I feel like I'm being set up to fail. And that's my opinion. Now, somebody else might feel differently, but I felt like there was discussions and I had, you know, I had meeting minutes, recordings of things that what people were saying made me very uncomfortable.
So from our perspective, you gotta realize that it looks like it was a leverage piece, you know, put upon the city to get what you wanted. That's the optics of it. I mean, quite frankly, I know a lot of people reach out to me and it kind of appears that way. You know, and I commend you for wanting to develop this, and yeah, it's gonna be developed someday, and we need to be real cautious of what we do. But what we hear all the time is how this is gonna benefit the city, the community. And like we talked about in our work meeting, the only benefit that I see is great people are gonna move here, and you're gonna provide housing. As far as an economic component, it's not. For the city, it's gonna cost us infrastructure, maintenance, all that kind of thing. We really don't have a property tax to help maintain that. And I know you wanna do what's right for the city, and we want, you know, you to do that as well. So I've been doing some thinking on this property, and maybe you've already thought of this, but I'm just gonna throw something out there that I would be, you know, in favor of higher density, probably even much higher than half acre. I think, you have 93 acres, right? And 20 or 30 something are non-buildable. You know, that's where your park and that stuff is. So why don't you have a concept where you can utilize those acres and not just put a park out there? You could very easily on 60 acres do a 9-hole, 3-park golf course, and utilize that wetlands. And then up front, you know, you have your high density housing, you know, you're gonna be less roads, you're gonna be less infrastructure. Maybe build a clubhouse, a pro shop, maybe even a mini golf. I could get on board on something like that, you know, and honestly, you know, I was looking at Roy's and some of the others around there, they have a lot of homes around the golf course, 60 plus, you know, and those lots would probably go for more, because let's be honest, this is not affordable housing. There's not a component of affordable housing in this project unless we require you to do something. You know, there could be quite a few lots in there. Maybe you have to partner up with the guys north of you to make it happen. But you do have enough property to do something like that. And I would like you to put some pencil and paper together and see what you come up with. But I could get on board on something like that. But this, I have a little bit of a problem just because it's just going to be a drain on us. It's going to be a drain on our community and our infrastructure. Yeah, you'd probably be surprised how many homes and lots you could get on. I mean, you probably get just as much money for a small lot as you are for the half acre around the golf course. That's my opinion and my thought. I could be way off base, but I've done a little bit of research and I think that piece is doable. For that, but I'd like you to take a look at something like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I kind of, that's what I thought is opening up a general plan where we could have conversations about possibilities. So we're open to possibilities. I hadn't even thought about that.
I think what you want to do is just, if you're willing to talk about those things, open up the discussion. I think Amanda's right. If you actually open general plan, you got to take some action.
Right.
But you can always say, we'll consider opening the general plan, and let's talk about what your development would look like, and then decide whether you do it or not. Perfectly able to do that.
That's kind of what I was gonna say, thanks, Reed. We can have any discussion you want to have any day of the week on concepts, developers agreements, things like that. What are the options? What are the possibilities? We can do all of that without opening the general plan, you know, today. If as a council, we see something that appeals to us, like Bryce just talked about, maybe something with commercial development, maybe a 55 plus option where residents can go and retire in a place like this. The possibilities are endless, you know, but something more than just sketching lots on a piece of paper. You know, we've seen that, we're kind of tired of that, to be honest with you. We'd like something a little bit more appeasing to the city of Hooper and the residents of Hooper. And so we can have that conversation anytime you want, sit down with the staff and the council, plan commission, and throw ideas and bounce ideas off each other and come up with a plan that works for everybody. And then we have a discussion about opening the general plan once we, you know, find a concept that we all are happy with.
So then when I make an application, it's, I guess where I'm confused is, I guess that would be a work meeting, but I mean, I don't know what application, what application would I pull for that saying, you know, to try to march that along.
I don't think I don't think there would be an application for what was just described, right?
Because typically when I do that, I would apply for a zone change and then I present potential options and kind of work that out. So it kind of puts me in no man's land where I don't know like what, I mean, how do I get on the agenda if I'm applying, you know, because I actually wanted to just apply for zone change. But then I was told you can't even apply for a zone change unless we agree to open up the general plan. So I feel like I'm in no man's land right now.
Seems to me like you got some pretty good guidance.
What was that?
It seems to me like, you know, seems to me like you've got some pretty good guidance. You need to have a concept meeting with the city personnel, and maybe a few commissioners from the planning commission and council members and the mayor and the planning department, and come up with some ideas that would justify them considering opening the general plan. And if you come to some consensus there, then you can move ahead with an intent to open the plan.
Okay, so, but you're saying if we open up the plan, you'd have to, so you couldn't open up the plan and just not take action? So let's say you did open up the plan, could you just go back and say, we still want to keep it 1 acre?
They could open the plan for everybody that way, but if you don't open it up for a specific project like you've asked them to do, you have to do as the statute says, as the ordinance says, open the plan, make the change, close the plan. But if you want to open the plan in total for everybody that wants to apply, you could request that. I don't see that being granted, but you could request it.
So at this point, you just need to come in and request a concept meeting, you know, and whoever we want to come to that concept meeting, I would be prepared, you know, come with some better plans than what you presented here tonight, you know, some better options perhaps that we just talked about. Come and request the concept meeting and we'll set a date and time and meet and talk about some options. And then, you know, proceed from there.
While I'm here, if you could indulge me, like what would be some of those things that would be of interest if you could give me some feedback? What, you know, so I'm getting some feedback here that, you know, a subdivision, a half acre, lots with half acre, you know, that's kind of like this would be very appealing. What is appealing? You know, I heard from you maybe having some type of city amenity.
I think something like that, you could probably get pretty dang close to your, you know, just looking at it, you could probably get 60, I don't know, 60, 70 smaller lots. I don't know. You'd have to just, you know, put that together, but you'd probably be surprised that it'd probably pencil out pretty good. Another thing is, you know, I don't know if this is a revenue-based thing, but yeah, that's probably not gonna work. Soccer fields, but that's not gonna work for you because obviously you wanna make money. I don't blame you. But on the flip side, we've got to have something that's sustainable and it's going to be benefit the community long term. But I put a little bit of time in looking at that. And I think you'd be surprised. You know, look at the golf course option. I think the people around here are really supportive. And you would probably get your density that would pencil out because those smaller lots are probably going to be worth more money than your half acre. I would think, but I don't know.
Yeah, appreciate it. And thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it.
I just have one comment I was going to mention. You know, one thing I know is we're up here talking about this is a concern. As has been mentioned, we don't have a very big property tax here in Hooper. The average home in Hooper pays approximately $100 a year in property tax that comes to Hooper. So you put in 90 homes, and each of those 90 homes pay their $100 back to Hooper. Hooper gets $9,000. Well, I can tell you for $9,000, we can't even afford to pay our people to go plow your roads, take care of it. And you know, they're brand new roads to begin with, but then in a few years, they have potholes, they have to be crack sealed, eventually overlays. So I think, you know, when we're saying, how is this going to benefit Hooper? Yes, we love the people that live here and we appreciate all those new people, but I feel like as a council, we have to be really conscientious that if we're going to open this up to just a lot more homes, how, as a city of Hooper, are we going to maintain that? Because that $9,000 isn't going to do it. Not at all. It doesn't even pay our overtime when it snows and we have to send our men out to be plowing the roads. So I think you've been given hopefully some good ideas that you might want to come back and present something that, yes, you know, we're not saying we don't want more people to move to Hooper, but then it can't just always only be just an expense for Hooper. There has to be something that we feel like could possibly end up benefiting the city as well.
Great, yeah. No, thank you very much. I have a family commitment, so I'm gonna have to step out early, but I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So this was actually a motion on our agenda tonight. So I don't know if there's a motion someone would like to make.
I'll make a motion for the request to open the general plan and little company be denied at this time until further concepts are presented to the city.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, a motion was made by Councilmember Northrup. It was seconded by Councilmember Hill. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
I have a brief discussion point I want to bring up just from their standpoint. Obviously, we're having a little bit of confusion here in our internal process. Obviously, right, being frank. So that being said, as Amanda brought up, I think if you make a motion like that, that they will be by ordinance prohibited for 12 months to come back. That sound accurate to you guys? So I would maybe, yeah, so that we don't get stuck by ordinance so that we can't work with them moving forward.
Shall we do it then? Okay, I will make a motion that the request to open the general plan and little company at this time be tabled until further concepts can be presented to the city.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion was made by Councilmember Northrup, seconded by Councilmember Hill. Any discussion on that motion?
We could have just done it anyways, but you know.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is a discussion motion as far as our legal intern services. I think, Bryce, you have some information you want to share on that and also the RFP. I don't know. Can we want to do the first one and then we can talk about it?
I just have a motion. It's written out just so it's clear, so it's kind of long, but basically we want to retain Brandon and Rick Richards as our legal. And so there's no need to have an interim service, and they have agreed to actually continue to provide services. So that's basically that. You have a motion for that. Oh, okay. So I'll write the motion. I'm just gonna read it. I motion that we do not enact interim legal services and they are not necessary, but instead retain the legal services of Reed and Brandon Richards as Hooper City attorneys as we have for the past 25 years, with no interruption to their services. As we did with JB, we will have Reed and Brandon sign a contract that can be provided to the Utah State Auditor. All wording in the contract, including the scope of legal services and legal support provided, will be reviewed and adjusted as necessary by the city council and will be approved by the city council. This motion also makes clear that there will be no RFP posted for legal services.
The motion was made by Councilmember Wilcox. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
The second was made by Councilmember Fowers. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is a discussion and a motion to amend HCC 114 meeting agenda public comment. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I understand, Councilman Wilcox, it was included in your motion. Okay, so now we are on to D, as far as to amend the meeting agenda, public comment. And in your packet, you saw what it currently lists as far as what that is. We discussed in our work meeting, this has been here since the city became a city in November of 2000. There are currently some things listed here that we no longer do in our, as far as our agenda. So we probably need to have a discussion on maybe even some of these items and then what you want to do as far as that.
I personally would like to see some citizen comment allowed in there that, so our residents can feel like they have a say in what's going on. We could limit this to a certain amount and, a certain time frame, and they would be limited to the 3 minutes. But I feel that's an important aspect of our agenda.
Okay, any other comments with this? With saying that, do you want to move citizen comments to the beginning? Do you want to leave them at the end? Is this something you want to think about for a little bit? And like we mentioned, some of these, so in the original meetings, if you go back to the minutes, they were listed just like this, but we really don't do this the same anymore. So I don't know if there's a different way we want to word this. I mean, of course, the approval of the minutes of previous meetings are always there. Sometimes we have business licenses, but not always. As far as the verbal petitions, presentation of the mayor, unfinished business could be on there, but we really don't list these necessarily, so.
I think we, try something different. Well, in the past, it's been towards the front. I say we go ahead and try put them at the front so it gives the citizens time to speak. Obviously, in our work meeting, there was some pros and cons of both. Then at every meeting's a public hearing, maybe we put a time limit on them or a number like Officer Lieutenant Slade was talking about, but maybe we put it on there, and there's probably going to have to be some adjustments made as time goes on, but I think the most important thing is I think the real reason is we want to make sure our citizens have an opportunity to make comments within a structured forum, and also not take all night. So whatever that looks like.
Okay. Well, I've just pulled out an old agenda from May 2023, and item number 3 was the public comments on agenda items, similar to what we did tonight, but without making it a public hearing. And then there's also the declaration of conflicts of interest or disclosures by council members, which is no longer on the agenda, which may be a good attribute to put back on there.
So would you like to have, because up until, I think I had it written down, let's see. So starting November 7th, this we're talking about last year, we only had public comments at the end, but it wasn't until January 16th that we changed that, and it said these were, and they were also at the end, but it was on not for agenda items. So do you want to have public comments at the beginning and the end as well? Do you want to only have them at one time?
I think
would recommend just having one time at the first of the meeting and not say only agenda items. It could be anything they could comment on. And with Bryce and Lieutenant Slater, let's limit it to 30 minutes Actually, I think Debbie said that. To start with, let's limit it to 30 minutes, so that'd be 10 comments at 3 minutes apiece. And just adapt to our needs. You know, we can always change it, but I think we should do opening ceremony, let the mayor talk about the events, and then go into public comment, and then do like our agenda says tonight, consent items, public hearings, action items, and adjournment. But put these citizens' comments after mayor business or upcoming business.
Okay, any other comments on that? If not, is there someone then that would like to make that motion, that we make that adjustment on Unicode? And like you said, we can try it. And if we like the way it goes, then you know, it certainly is something flexible that we can do.
I'll make a motion to amend HCC 1-1-4 meeting agenda as we discussed.
I'll
Okay, the
second.
motion was made by Councilmember Hill. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second was,
You want to actually do an ordinance thing, is that what you're thinking of, or just try it for a while and then do an ordinance? If it's an ordinance, we need to draft an ordinance form.
Can we do that without doing an ordinance?
Okay, so yeah, could you bring flexibility?
Yeah, let's try it for 90 days or whatever. And then make it an ordinance.
okay, so do you want to, so the motion will be then, we're not necessarily going to amend our Unicode per se, it'll just be a trial for 90 days. So that motion was made by Councilmember Hill. Councilmember Maragoni, are you still all right to second that?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so second is made by Councilmember Maragoni. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. We have some new microphones with a few little learning curves. Okay, the next thing on our agenda then, tonight, because it was listed on our agenda this way, then we are going to be following it for tonight. We have citizen comments. You are allowed 3 minutes, and this is for things that are not on the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to come and make a comment?
Resident, my first of all, I want to thank you guys for the service you give our community. I love people. I've lived here for 4 years. My comment is related to the meeting that you guys had last week on Tuesday night, and you can tell it's made me very emotional. I feel like a lot of fingers have been pointed at both Sherry and Dale and their families, and I agree that issue stems from there. But I feel like a lot of other people are involved in this, and I would include every member of the city council, the city planning commission, city staff, and even members of our community. But I would ask if you truly do have that close door meeting, that you remember that Sherry was elected by the majority of the people that voted to be our mayor, based on 25 years ago when this city was created and the rules that were set forth then for the way our government would run. And I feel like if you guys, the 5 of you, if you can just strip her of her powers in, just in one meeting, when the majority of the city voted for her, how is that not taking away our right as citizens? Now, I love and appreciate every one of you, and I'm not taking sides here, but I'm asking every member in this room and everybody on the commission, on the council, and in the city offices in our city to stop the bias. There is a lot of bias that is here, and it is so evident, it's so clear. You can read it, you can see it, and you can feel it. And if you're involved in that closed door meeting, please look at yourself and ask yourself what you have done and have not done to contribute to this. And if you can't get over your differences and work together for the good of the city and the good of the community that voted for you to look out for the good of our city, then maybe you should consider stepping back too. And that's all I have to say. I know I'm just a little citizen of this community, but I love Hooper and I hate what's going on here, and it needs to stop, and they can make it stop. We love our city and we want everybody to realize what you have or haven't done to make this an issue that shouldn't even be going on. And once again, thank you for your service. Our son served on the council years ago, and I know it's a hard job. And so in saying this, I thank you for what you've done, but ask you to please do what you need to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comments? Okay, seeing no other comments, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Chair, can I make one comment? Thank you, Mrs. Cook, for getting up and saying that. I just wanted to follow up with that too, because in the heat of the moment, last time we met, and all the media frenzy and everything else going on, I mistakenly put some people in the category I did not mean to do, and I apologize publicly to members of Sherry's family and Dale's family that I put in that category just by saying one word, and I said and their families, and I do apologize for doing that, because there are many on both sides, kids, grandkids, spouses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that have done their best to stay away from the public fray. And I do commend you for doing that. And so, again, I apologize, and I really do hope we can work through things and make our city a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. A motion, is there someone that would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
Okay, motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.